Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Tales from the Bargain Bin. I'm Bill Tucker, and with me is a ultra distinguished. I'm going to say now ultra distinguished. Earlier I said just distinguished. We're going to up the ante and say ultra distinguished gentleman of leisure, the one and only Bobby Tucker. What's going on, man?
Take it down a notch.
I'm sorry.
I can't follow that up.
Goodbye.
See ya.
And just in case you didn't see the title of this podcast before you clicked on it, we are talking about a not bargain bin game. This is not a game that I would consider bargain bin, but since the baseball season, as of this release, is right around the corner, and I really want to talk about it, we are talking about Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball for the Super Nintendo. Yeah. This game's great, and this is a game that we had. I couldn't remember how we had acquired it, Bobby, but you said this is one you actually asked for.
Yes.
So this doesn't really qualify as a bargain bin game, but I don't know. It's the beginning of baseball season. Clicks are nice.
Yes.
Let's talk about Ken Griffey.
In preparation for this, it might be a gamer looks at 40 first. I have a Yingling light on standby as we do this. I don't know if you're allowed to have drinking on this show.
That's fine. That's fine. There's no problem with that.
It's a Yingling light left over from the Super Bowl from a month ago, and it's not good. But but I figured why not crack one open in baseball fashion. Have a beer and some peanuts.
I dig that.
And in also other fashion, in the athletic realm, I tried cupping for the first time yesterday. I don't know if you're aware of cupping.
I remember this being a thing during the Olympics.
Oh, really?
A few Olympics ago. Isn't it like the suction thing that
they put suction cups all over your back and butt? And you're left behind with these purple circles all over your back. So I am all cupped up like an athlete. I feel with my beer and cups. I think I am more than prepared for this podcast. Yes,
because nothing says athletic prowess than Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball for Super Nintendo. Developed by Software Creations, released to the system in 1994. There was a Game Boy version of this.
It sure was.
Released in 1997. Now I just happen to see that on the screen looking at me. But Bobby, you wanted this game. This is a game you wanted, and you've always been a baseball fan.
Yes. So we didn't grow up in a sports household per se. I think our father liked the Giants, but I don't actually remember. And I, maybe like they watched some hockey, but just casually, Like our mom and dad would go to MSG on dates when they were dating in the 70s. But as a household, there were no pennants, there were no flags, nothing like that. Yeah. So I was just flipping through cable TV in 1993. I think I was around the second grade or so, first or second grade. And I just came across Yankees baseball, and they were just playing a game. And it was a game I could follow, and I just really took to it. And in classic kid fashion, I said to Mom, I was like, I want to watch baseball. And Mom was like, yeah, you don't want to watch baseball? Like, she didn't believe me. And then like the next day I was watching it, and she was like, oh, geez, he actually likes baseball. So when either it was Christmas or birthday came up, I remember seeing ads for this game in Nintendo Power. And I didn't even know who Ken Griffey Jr. was. Like that, that's how fresh all this was. But I wanted to play a baseball game. We had baseball for NES, like the classic one. Yep. And probably some other games that came in and out from borrowing from friends. But I wanted this game. It looked really fun. And you can play as the teams, not the players, but the teams. And I said, I want to play as the Yankees or the Rockies for some reason.
Rockies. You were a Rockies fan.
Rockies and Yankees were like my two teams. And so, yeah, sure enough, I got it for either birthday or Christmas. I played the heck out of it. And to this day, I still play emulators of it on my PC. I love it. Just in passing, just to kill like 30 minutes or whatever. It's a very, like, in some ways, as far as like baseball goes, or baseball games, it hit like the pacing and fun of baseball like perfectly. It's just so fun to pick up and play. without being too ridiculous like some other games where like you have powers and stuff. It's still a very true baseball game,
Yep.
but it's not like MLB The Show where you're managing rosters and stuff.
Right.
But the mechanics of it are just, and the speed of it are like perfect. I almost wish like real baseball was this fast paced, but
yeah.
but it's not. I mean, like it cuts out all the fat, but it's a fun game to get good at,
It's the epitome of an arcade sports game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it is. It is arcade sports at its finest.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is just realistic enough to where you don't feel like you're playing a cartoon or a pastiche of a game, like you like Baseball Simulator 2000, which was the other one we were going to do for this when I decided to talk about Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
But it's not like MLB The Show where you have to like worry about the wind speed and like timing your throws. And I don't like playing sports games where I actually have to know the sport intimately in order to do it well. Mm-hmm. Like I want to pretend like I'm a really good hockey player. I don't want to actually have to be a good hockey player to play my video game hockey game. Like like with the stick motion and all that. Like I don't have to pretend to be a good baseball player to play baseball. And that's what Ken Griffey provides. It's fast, it's fun, and it's just exaggerated enough where it's just fun. I am actually in the midst of a season right now. I'm playing. It's a half season on my Steam Deck on the emulator, and I am every once in a while when I get some time and I don't feel like doing anything else, I play a game with the Yankees and I just throw a game on, and then and I have some stats, and my batters are all hitting 600. It's one of those games that is easy to pick up and easy to figure out, but still requires some skill to get good at. And it strikes that beautiful balance. Yeah. Like you said, it's all the major league teams of the day are represented. The rosters are not, though. So it has MLB license, but not MLB Players Association.
Right.
The names are great, and they all relate kind of sort of to the city in which the players are from.
Right.
Of course, the only real player, of course, is Ken Griffey Jr. himself.
Yes.
And because Nintendo and the Seattle Mariners, of course, had a very close relationship. The president of the Nintendo owned the Seattle Mariners for the longest time.
I was going to say, weren't they owners? Yeah. That's a little window of time. Yeah.
Yep. So what was your team? So were you always playing as either the Rockies or the Yankees? Were you doing that?
Yeah. Okay. So my National League team was the Rockies, and the Yankees were the American League team. Yankees were always what turned me into baseball. So, and even then in 93, 94, they were a good team, even in the video game. They were to get better, as the late 90s would show us. And then the Rockies I would play, and that's just like child logic. I thought like the mountains were cool in the logo. Like purple mountains were neat, and I was like kind of like gravitated towards it. And they're not as good and they were brand new at the time. I didn't even know that.
They're a brand new team. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about this game, because as a baseball fan, the Montreal Expos are in this game, which is really fun, which are now the Nationals. The Florida, the Tampa Bay is called the Devil Rays, which they got rid of the devil part. Now they're just called the Rays today. And so it's like there's a little time capsule in this thing too, which is really fun. But the Rockies were a new team at the time, and so they weren't great in the game either. So it was more of a challenge to play as the Rockies, but the Yankees are like playing on easy mode. What are you going to say?
Oh, I was saying, are the Devil Rays in this game? Because I know the Florida Marlins are.
Yeah, the Marlins and the Rays. Yeah.
Are the Rays in this?
Pretty sure, yeah.
All right, I'm looking through the list now, but all right. I will trust you. I don't know, because I know the Marlins and the Rockies came out in the same year. They were the expansion teams of the day.
Yeah.
And this was the first baseball game that had the two new expansion teams. And so I don't know if the Devil Rays, maybe there is in there. I could be wrong. But yeah, no, the rest of the teams are the ones that we all kind of know and love. I do like the fact that the Montreal Expos are still there.
Yeah.
Kind of great. Are the Marlins still a team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where Giancarlo Stanton came from. We picked him up from there. Yeah, the Marlins are a glorified farm team. I don't mean, but it's just kind of like they'll pick up some good, like drafts, and then they'll end up playing for the Yankees or the Dodgers. That's kind of where we're at now in modern day baseball.
So obviously the game is very simplified. Pitching follows the time-honored tradition of arcade pitching, where you can control the path of the ball as it goes towards your opponent.
If only pitching was that cool.
I know. If only pitching was that cool. It has a lot of some voice samples in there.
Funny.
Yeah. I'll throw some of those delightful samples in here. I'll do a little extra work for you, just because. The main theme that plays over your baseball game is awesome.
Yeah,
it's one of the best repetitive themes ever, because you listen to it nonstop through the entire game, and it never gets boring. It never gets old.
It's got that nice organ going. Yeah.
Instead of the players, obviously the game featured fake players. Here on the Wikipedia, it tells you the themes for some of the teams. So I'm going to go through it and see if you know what these different themes are. So the Braves are all the Brave players are named after famous dance DJs.
I didn't know that.
That's
I never played as the Braves in the game, so I guess they didn't pick up on that.
The Baltimore Orioles pay tribute to Baltimore native John Waters, who stands in for Cal Ripken Jr.
That's funny.
B. Devine filling in for second baseman Harold Reynolds. P. Flamingo.
Wow.
B. Devine, P. Flamingo, M. Trasho. Crybaby.
Yeah.
So that's if you know anything about Baltimore, you know that. The Red Sox contain members from the show Cheers.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. This is a game I've played 100 times. The California Angels have famous actors on their team. So you have Fred Astaire, H. Bogart.
Yeah.
And Brando, Jay Dean.
And as in 93, or 94, I was first, second grade. None of this went over my head. It all went over my head.
Totally.
What's great about the Yankees, maybe you're going to get to them, they're all like horror movie icons. So like, if I remember damn it. Like Bela Lugosi is a player. Who's Frankenstein? I'm like blanking on his name. Boris Karloff. Like they're all Karloff and Lugosi are all on the Yankees. I love classic horror today, but at 93, I had no idea. I just thought the hitter's name was Lugosi.
You're actually a little backwards on that. That was the Rockies. The Rockies were the horror movies.
That's right.
So Romero.
Yes.
You had Lugosi, S. King.
Yeah. And I didn't put any of that together until I was an adult.
You even got Tom Savini. T. Savini is a member of the Colorado Rockies.
I think he's a pitcher.
Yeah, he's a middle relief pitcher. Yes.
Yeah. I remember using Savini, which all that went over my head. And then, Lon Chaney Jr. I think's one of them too. But why the Rockies though? I don't even know why they picked them.
It's the weirdest thing. The Rockies are the famous neighbors. The Yankees were the nicknames of famous Yankees. So you had Bomber,
Bambino. Yes. Now I remember.
Those are the nicknames of famous Yankees.
Mantle, I think so.
Mantle, Mickey. Yeah, there's Mickey. He bats fifth because I play as the Yankees, so he bats fifth. I know that for a fact.
Anyway, that makes sense. Makes good sense.
Some of them are random though. Like the Chicago White Sox are former basketball players from St. John's University.
That's really specific.
St. John's University is not in Chicago.
That's very
St. John's
specific.
is in New York. Weird.
That's very strange.
Cincinnati Reds are writers. So you have B. Stoker, I. Fleming, P. Dick.
Because Reds, I think, because reading.
I just caught that.
I think that's
Christie.
what they were going for.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they're clever. They're clever.
The Cleveland Indians are famous actresses and glamour girls. So A. Margaret, A. Hepburn, M. Monroe, N. Wood. So that's always fun.
Yeah, yeah.
The Detroit Tigers are Motown singers. I remember that.
That's cool. Well, at least Detroit makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. A. Franklin, G. Knight, O. Redding.
Mm-hmm. Otis Redding. Cool.
Jay Hooker. Yeah. You know, Jay Brown. So, yeah, you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Let's see. The Houston Astros are cartoonists. So you have G. Larson, W. Eisner,
nice.
J. Candell, B. B. Edlund. Who's B. Edlund? Oh, the Tick. He's the guy who did the Tick.
The Tick. Okay.
You have R. Crumb. Nice.
Robert Crumb.
Robert Crumb.
Cool.
He's a shortstop. He plays shortstop.
The horny shortstop.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm not gonna go through every single one of these, but basically every player had a link to something, which was really cool. I think that's very, very clever.
Yeah. If you don't have the players' licenses, have fun with it. And I always appreciate that. And they got the stadium and the team licenses, which is really fun for Super Nintendo.
Yes, and the stadiums are actually pretty accurate to what they looked like back in those days. The only other two I'll do are the Mets. The Mets are based off of punk rock pioneers from New York.
Oh, man.
So Johnny Thunders, Joey Ramone, Tom Verlaine, A. Vega, Lou Reed. Who's D. Manitoba? Who's D. Manitoba? Oh, a band called The Dictators? Oh, I don't know. They really dig in. Deborah Harry. Deborah Harry plays.
From Blondie, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's that. I just wanted to do the Mets one because it's New York based and related.
Yes. I mean, well, the Ramones are from Queens, so that makes sense to me.
And of course, the San Francisco Giants are members of the development team Software Creations because they were based out of San Francisco.
Oh, is that right?
So they are all the people who made the game naturally.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah.
I always appreciate that in old games. You get like a pixelated bitmap of like the developers. They always got giant glasses and bad hair. And I'm like,
yep.
Thanks, man. Thanks for making this game.
Thanks for putting in the extra hours.
SimCity used to do that, and I thought it was kind of neat, funny.
Do you still play baseball video games of any type or stripe?
This one.
so you never, because you're a much bigger baseball fan than I am. I like it fine, but if I watch 2 games a year, that's probably a lot. You watch a lot of Yankee games. You are a Yankee fan, and you go to games and when you can.
Yeah.
So you never delved into video game baseball.
Yeah, and sports games in general. Like I've always been casual. I mean, the most sports game I played, which was probably like Madden 2002 on the GameCube. I got good at that for some reason, but I never. I just don't really gravitate towards sports games. I watch Yankees and New Jersey Devils, and that's enough. I got other things to do. That's enough. Sports outlet for me, and of course I enjoy Major League Soccer because I played soccer as a kid, but I don't follow it extensively. I just sort of like an appreciative fancy for the New York Red Bulls, but I don't play too many sports games. I'm trying to think. Other than like Madden, that's kind of like where I fell off.
Yeah, I fell off with Madden. I played Madden on the GameCube.
Yeah. And
I played a lot of NHL games over the years. I think the last NHL game I've purchased was 2010 for the PS3. Does that track somewhat, sort of, kind of? Yeah, I guess so. It was on the PS3. And I stopped because they just got too complex.
They got very complex.
They're too complex. I just want to sit down and play a fun game.
I want to say I tried playing Madden like maybe about 8 years ago. I think Brian and company had a copy of it. And like, this is what you said, like the way you throw the ball and your wrist and the wind. And it was like, no, this is too realistic. I just want it to like go to the receiver, like in a video game. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm playing a real, playing like a real player. That's not the fun of it for me.
Yeah. I'm here. No, I'm listening. Sorry. I'm here. No, I agree with you. I just want to have the fun of playing the game. Also, when it comes to the game, there were different modes. You had single player and a 2-player mode. You had a full season, half season, or quarter season, if I remember correctly. So you could play like a 28 game season, a 70 something game season, or a full 122 or 162 rather. I played full 162 seasons often.
Yeah, I did too.
And I'm pretty sure you did too.
Yeah.
Now, how did you do? Because there was no save files. So you must have just waited till I was done with mine.
Yes.
And then started your own. And
there was a time, either you or I, we left the system on for like days. Like, I kind of remember like the TV would be off, but the system was on. Like no one touched the Super Nintendo. So I guess it was either your season or mine, and then we would you had a video switcher, so
yes,
we could switch to other systems. But the Super Nintendo was like off hands while that was happening.
That's funny.
I can't remember the specifics, but I remember that being on for like a month.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That's crazy.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Well, the save file is notoriously not great for Ken Griffey Jr. Presents. Evidently, a lot of copies of the game had issues with save files. There was also an issue where your home runs would reset, like all your character stats would reset after the All-Star game. I wonder
why that was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was evidently a bug in the game that caused that to happen on occasion. I also remember that you could play an All-Star game off the bat, and you could do a home run derby.
Yes, I would play the heck out of a home run derby.
Oh, sure. So fun!
That's a fun like arcade thing to do. Where like, all right, I got like 30 minutes. Let's just do this. And the All-Star game was fun too. Everyone's just hitting home runs, so that was kind of fun.
The manual for Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball is amazing.
I don't remember.
It's amazing. Go down. You may still have it, Bobby. We still have manuals down there, right? We may still have it. I'm looking at it right now. Let me send you the link to this because we have the technology. We have the power. There is actually a chat window in here.
I'll need the internet to do this.
Oh, you're not on the internet? Are you on your phone?
That was a joke. That was a very bad joke.
You could be on your phone. I don't know.
No. I have internet.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Again, you could be on your phone. You're like, I don't want to go switching around. Well, I just sent you wait till you see this manual, Bobby, because this is bringing back floods of memories to the point where I may just pass out. I may just have an aneurysm from the memory flood that I'm receiving from this manual. It was a 40-page manual. The first 3 or 4 pages of which is like the history of baseball. It gives you the history of baseball.
It's loading right now.
Yeah,
second.
I'm just trying to vamp for a little bit of time.
Oh, here we go. Oh, look at Ken Griffey. That's a nice one.
Look at that, Ken Griffey.
I do remember the manual now. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I remember these drawings. The birth of a national pastime.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Cincinnati is a big upper body man with a handlebar mustache
and a tiny, tiny torso.
For the audience, I love old baseball when they wore pajamas, basically. I love that era. I love the Murders Row Yankees. This
do yourself a favor.
This speaks to me.
I will link this in the show notes so you can easy access to it. But the manual for Ken Griffey Jr. is amazing. The first 3 pages are a full history of the game. Also has like a then and now section where it says like where the teams expanded and what they started and where they expanded to. It is a wonderful manual, and I loved how the background for a lot of these are just peanuts. Like they're baseball peanuts, which are great. It's just
awesome.
It is an amazing.
Now I wish we had a visual component to this.
Yeah,
podcast.
see, we were just joking. We were saying like, when I release this, I'll release a clip of us talking about the manual on TikTok, and I'll just have screenshots of the manual in there. I'll use that as our thing.
Yeah,
it gives you information about every single team. Like it has like a half-page little dossier on every single team.
This is so well done.
It's amazingly done. The manual is incredible.
They don't put this much effort into these things anymore.
They barely put that much effort into games, never mind the manual.
Yeah, there's so much good artwork here. This is great.
The artwork is fantastic. They had
look at the peanuts.
Informative. I'm trying to see what for Florida Marlins were. It was their second season in '94, so there was not much of a dossier for them because they had only been the expansion. Marlins began their second season in 1994. The Marlins' early pursuit of top players through free agency trades should please fans in South Florida, and with a roster comprised of experienced veterans and promising young players, the Marlins look to continue building towards success in the near future. Because now they're the Miami Marlins, right?
Well,
right?
I think they're still called Florida Marlins.
Oh, okay. I thought they were Miami for a while.
Well,
okay.
They are Miami, but I don't know. I make that mistake a lot in sports where the Florida team is. I always call them the Miami, like the Panthers in hockey. I call them the Miami Panthers, and that's wrong. So I don't know what's right. Don't ask me. I'm not a good source on that one.
That is fine. That is
and
fine.
I think you're right. The Rays are not in this game.
No, they're not.
Were.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
That's wild.
They even have a biography of Ken Griffey Jr. with the stats.
Nice.
They even have a little thing about the umpire.
Yeah.
That was a real umpire.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Steve Palermo. Listen, Bobby, awesome. You've put way too much effort into your video game manual. Two yahoos 25 years later spend 10 minutes talking about it, and your manual has a bibliography at the end. When your manual has a bibliography, you've gone above and beyond.
They cited some sources. This is great.
They've cited some sources
in the manual.
Yes, they did. They had to do it.
I kind of remember that photo of Ken Griffey, like, I don't know, signing autographs for some reason in the bibliography. I don't know. I don't want to remember that photo, but it's so random.
It's so random. When this game came out, it had actually mixed reviews from video game outlets. Again, there wasn't a ton of outlets back in them days. Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a 6.6 out of 10, which isn't great. Okay. GamePro heavily criticized the game's lack of realism. Wow. Which I think is a good point. Actually, I think it's a boon. Yeah. Citing fictitious players, inaccurate ballparks, inability to adjust defense, stylized player sprites, and the ability to control the ball even after it leaves the pitcher's hand. All of these are good. I don't know what the reviewer for GamePro was looking for. I guess they were looking for more simulation.
Realism.
Baseball, I guess. I don't know. I think all those things are fantastic.
Yeah, and that, in time though, this game is like, I think people adore it.
Yes,
and that's kind of when we were discussing doing this. I'm like, I think today it has not even just a cult status. Like even mainstream media says like this is one of the best baseball games ever made, at least in the top 20. And
it's up there.
And like that, I found that Bleacher Report article where like, it was in the top 10 for them. Like that's pretty cool.
Yep, I'm looking through it right now to see where it ranked.
Number 5, maybe?
5, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it was 5. Yep, 5. That's it. Hey, out of all the baseball games ever made.
There's a lot of baseball games.
Yes, there are a lot of baseball video games. For a lot of
systems, for a lot of, I mean, I think they were making baseball games for Atari. I think they made baseball games for like, ColecoVision or Commodore 64. As long as there have been video games, there have been baseball games because baseball's one of the oldest sports in the country. So... Yep. It's this very easy synthesis to like, how do we make a baseball game? Yeah.
It was also a big seller for the system. It sold 750,000 copies.
That's big.
In 1994. That's a big seller. And ultimately sold 1.2 million units. Anything over 1 million is a huge hit.
Especially then. Yeah.
Especially then. So yeah, it was a big hit. Hence, this is not really a bargain basement game or a bargain game.
No, but it is like, it may not be as known as like the bigger baseball games that people tend to talk about.
Yeah.
Not too many people go on about it. But we have a special history to this game because I think that soundtrack played in the basement for many years. I think anyone with an earshot actually knows. I think our sister knows that song, but she didn't realize she knows that song. You might have to play it for her when hey, Lindsay, does this ring a bell for you? And she's like,
oh my God. Yeah, really should do that.
Might be like a muscle memory thing.
It might be. I still try to make sure I say foul.
Yeah, I know. Foul ball. Yeah.
Foul. Steve.
I still do too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. was a great. I remember because I think I shared this on a different episode. I forget at one point, but I was really into baseball on the Nintendo. Like you said before earlier, we had Black Box Baseball.
Yeah.
And that game is not great. I mean, I've tried to play it like relatively recently, and oh boy, it's not aged well. It's rough. Yeah, but it's 1985, baseball game.
Yeah.
And the problem was at that era, there was already better baseball games out, like Bases Loaded and RBI Baseball were much better within 6 months of the launch of the system. But
Interesting.
Black Box Baseball was one of the first games released with the Nintendo. And I used to play as Team Y all the time. And I used to make my own seasons because there was no seasons. There was just games.
I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
So I had binders and binders of notes where I would track the standings and track the players and track their RBIs and their home run totals and I would track it all by hand in these large tomes that I would just have, and I would play full seasons of baseball and make it playoffs, a playoff bracket. And when I saw that Ken Griffey Jr. did all of that for me, it was amazing. It was like, I could just play a season and not have to write in my notebooks, and do all my calculations for batting average. And I don't think I calculated batting average. That would have been a little much, but definitely home runs and RBIs. Yeah, definitely that.
That's in the spirit of actual watching baseball, though. There are older fans who will follow the score with a pencil and paper.
Yes.
And that's just an old school way of just like keeping track of baseball. Like they've got this scoreboard and everything. You don't have to do that. But if you want a little golf pencil and a pad, like they still have those at the stadiums.
Yep. Can you really? Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. You'll find an older guy of a certain age. You'll see them writing it down as the game goes on.
Oh, that's cool.
Because back in the day, like that's how you kept track of the game,
Yeah, scorecards.
Yeah, scorecard. Yeah. So that's kind of in the spirit of the sport. I'm very proud of you to actually attempt to do that in your own way with a notebook.
I did it in a notebook. I used to keep track of it. Had World Series and playoffs. And again, the baseball game had maybe, I think, 6 or 8 teams. I don't think it had. Yeah. They were just C, D, A, Y.
There's letters. Yeah.
Corresponding to like the Cubs, the Athletics, Detroit,
I think so.
Yankees. Yeah. That was the goal because the colors of the uniforms matched that.
Yeah.
But again, they had no licensing of any sort. So I always played as Team Y. And that was my team.
Go Y.
Go Y's. Any other thoughts on Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball? It's a game I love, and I'm glad that emulation exists so I can still play a season of it while my son bounces around trampoline parks and I don't have to watch him. I can just sit there and play Ken Griffey Jr.
You play on your Steam Deck?
I sure do.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, it's super fun to pick up and just play a single game. Still to this day, I think it really works. I'm curious about the Game Boy version. I never knew it existed until like a year ago, and I'm kind of curious what that's like, but you don't really need that anymore because you can just play the whole game on a Steam Deck like you're doing.
Yeah.
But also like the mechanic, like the pitching's one thing. Getting good at pitching is like as important as anything in this game.
Yeah.
But learning how to hit, there's like a timing mechanic to it that like I can't explain it. You just want to get good at. It becomes its own challenge of how do you hit more home runs. It's really dependent on whether like the pitcher gets tired and stuff, and then you capitalize that like real baseball. And that's how that's where it becomes very roster based, especially in the season management.
Yep.
But other than that, like you don't really need to know all that. Learning how to steal bases is helpful, but you might actually get more outs than actually steal bases if you get bad with that. And you can also get like tagged pretty easily if you're not quick on running back to base. So I don't even know if that matters, but you can lead off bases and steal. All that's in the game. It's really fun. Catching fly balls, I've always found hard.
Really?
Well, you get used to it because the camera backs out really fast, and then you have to find the X on the little map in the HUD. Right. And sometimes you just don't have that instinct to look down. Like you won't make it to the X, and that's the trickier part sometimes. Once you get good at that, it's fine. But when I haven't played in a while, I'm like just outs or fly balls are just flying past me.
I'm like that. I'm like that when it comes to like grounders and like fast grounders, you know, like to short, because you really need to be able to react very quickly to those, and because there is no X for you to follow. You just have to know instinctively, okay, the ball is going towards second base. I'm assuming my shortstop is going to be the one I'm controlling to do this. And if you're wrong, then you are completely wrong, and now it's a double, and you're just doomed. Hitting is actually relatively straightforward, but you still run into situations where I'm getting strikeouts. Don't happen very often offensively. I mean, if you have a player, the pitchers would have 3 stats. I think they have control, speed, and endurance, like how long they could stay in the game. And of course, the starting pitcher has more endurance than a relief pitcher. You are always better off with a pitcher with more control, because then you could just bend that thing to the dugout, and they would always swing on it.
Yes, if you know how to make it curve before the base, it's an easy strike. Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing too, I always remember is the opposing team. If you get a 5-run lead on the team, their pitcher's gone. That's it. It's the 5-run lead. That's like the trigger for the game to say, all right, time for another pitcher.
Yeah.
So, and they always leave their pitchers in way too long. And so you always have a situation towards the end of the game where you can come back and start getting some dingers off the tired pitcher.
You'll always get an inning where you can capitalize, which is much like the spirit of real baseball.
You don't need to warm up a pitcher in order for them, they don't be warmed up or anything. They just appear.
They just appear.
But
And do you ever swap out hitters? Like, do you ever bring in
You can.
But do you ever do that when you play the game?
I've done it. I only do it if I'm playing with a DH.
Yeah.
Or if I'm playing in the American League, in the American League had pitchers hitting. That was part of the strategy. If I was playing like as the Mets, for example, I would, if my pitcher was tired and I knew they were coming up next inning, do I leave them in to then swap them out at the plate for a pinch hitter? And then have the game automatically say, okay, now you need a new pitcher for the next inning.
Right.
So I would do that on that occasion. In my current season, my DH was not doing well, so I have swapped out my DH, and I think I need to swap back. But,
gotcha.
I'm a little weak at DH in Ken Griffey Jr.
And that's another time capsule there, because now the National League has designated hitters.
Yep.
So that's all done.
That's done.
End of an era.
Well, they're trying to get to the speed of Ken Griffey Jr. Presents, because the pitch clock is trying to make that happen. Let's get this game over with in 2.5 hours.
Games are actually 30 minutes shorter now, which is actually saving baseball. The pitch clock helps. The bigger bases are helping that people are stealing more. The inability to shift the way they used to for defense, that's a little more shaky. I'm not sure the rules about that one, but all these things are they are trying to speed up baseball. There's also a delay, I swear, like when it's on Apple Plus, that like they cut out the middle stuff and it just seems faster when it's like broadcast to us. and it's but it's done in real time because there's like a delay on the broadcast and they're just cutting stuff out, I think. And I was like, yeah, they really like speeding this up for the home viewer. It's interesting how they do that. Yeah.
Interesting indeed.
While I do think something is lost when you take out the leisurely part of baseball, I completely understand it.
Yeah.
why a modern audience would want to sit through that. Like, not all of us are, eating peanuts and drinking beer. So it's like, but when you're there in person, you get to see all of that, including, mulling it over in the dugout and all the stuff they do to waste time. Yeah.
All the mind games. Well, Bobby, I usually ask, does this go back in the bin or should this stay on the shelf? I think there's no need to even ask that question, considering we're both playing it still 25, 30 years later, whatever it is. Yeah.
It belongs on the top shelf.
Top shelf, indeed.
In some glass.
Yes. As a matter of fact, if I found a real copy of this, like at a convention or something, and if it's decently priced, I would consider buying it. Not even having a Super Nintendo play it. Just to have it would be cool to have. I'm sure you have it in your in the basement of Mom's house still.
Yep.
I'm sure it's there somewhere. But I don't know. This is the kind of game that I think I played a ton of and I continue to play. And that's just proof that old games can last forever because good gameplay will always last.
Yes.
And this game is great.
And that's why the other baseball game doesn't last.
No, it's not.
Because it's not good.
It's not very good.
Yeah, sometimes nostalgia, you just can't, they can't go back home, as they say.
Yeah.
And you revisit an old game, you're like, this is lost to time. But Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Baseball is not that game. It's
no, it is not.
It could be like a great mobile game for like your cell phone.
That would be a really good mobile game. It actually would be.
I think it would. Yeah.
I think there is definitely room in the world for a mobile version of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this look back at a not bargain bin game. But again, like I said, I just wanted to cover it because it was a performative game. Thank you for checking out this edition of Tales from the Bargain Bin. If you like this nonsense, I got a lot of nonsense for you. Just go to agamerlooks440.com. All of my nonsense is stored there. There's a section that has all of our full podcast series. That includes the Final Fantasy series, Legend of Zelda series, Earthbound, and Tales from the Bargain Bin. You can get those episodes in one playlist and binge them to your little heart's content. Bobby, thank you as always for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
And until next time, just be kind to yourselves and each other.